Hello everyone. We are working on the Haven Charity Quilt Along today. And this is a free pattern from the Fat Quarter Shop. The pattern finishes at 54 by 54 inches, so it's a relatively small quilt. Hi, Lavette. It's a relatively small quilt, more like a baby size, if you will. And so again, this is a free pattern. I have the kit for this. So these are all of the fabrics that come with the kit. The kit includes everything for the quilt top and for the binding. So that's in the kit. So the only thing that you would need to purchase to finish the quilt, obviously, is thread. You would need your backing and whatever batting you wanted to use. So those are the only things that you would need to finish the quilt. So there are two parts to this. So the first part is making this block here. And if you come over here, like, we can see how everything comes together. So this is a big part of the quilt that we need to make. So part 1 is here, part 2 is here, along with the finishing. So we need to get through at least part 1. That's the goal. So you could see, like, there are half square triangles in here. So these are really easy, and all the blocks are the same. They're just rotated. So we're going to have half square triangles here. And then in here, this is where we're going to do the most amount of work. I have everything cut out already over here to the side. I pre-prepped part 1 and part 2 because we'll see how far we can get today. So the Haven Charity Quilt Along is sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabrics. This is a charity fundraiser that benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The Make-A-Wish Foundation helps children with critical illnesses to get their wish, if you will. And so, you know, those wishes could be to meet somebody, to go somewhere, to experience something, but these children get to do that along with their families, which is absolutely an awesome experience. So if you've ever known someone who has had the opportunity to participate in Make-A-Wish, you would know how special it is. So you can either purchase the pattern. I'm sorry, you get the pattern for free. You can either purchase the kit. There is a cross-stitch kit that you could purchase as well. Or you could just make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Where is my teddy bear? So if you make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, $75 or more, you get this cute little bear. Isn't he adorable? So he has these little paws right here that are embroidered. Absolutely adorable. His little foot pads, they are embroidered with the little design that we'll be putting in, the star, and you can, get your own by donating to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So all the information is linked where, and you can visit Fat Quarter Shop. They're here on TikTok, so you can go right to the Fat Quarter Shop and see that information as well. So let's get started. The first thing that they, of course, have us do, which is the easiest part. Again, this is a free pattern, so the great thing is I can share the entire thing with you. So they tell us to get H and N. Okay, and the good thing is that looking at this, you get to see everything because it's the same fabric because of the kit. However, you can absolutely get your stash, and you can do this with the free pattern and use your stash. So you don't have to buy the kit. It'd be nice, but you don't have to buy the kit. So there are 4 of these, should be. And they are big blocks because this is going to be a big half square triangle. And we are, because we didn't do it, let's move this back because like I said, this is a big block. We're going to find the halfway mark. And I think before I talked about this, you can absolutely fold this in half, finger press to find your diagonal. And then if you finger press it, like you'll see that line. And if you can see the line, you don't have to draw the line. That's just a tip that I have. You absolutely can take your ruler and you can draw the line as well. So we need to do all 4 of these. Whoops, somebody's getting ready to knock everything off of her table. That's because she has too much stuff on the table. She would knock it off the table if she didn't have stuff on the table. Okay, when the blocks are this big, sometimes it is to our benefit to use, pins to hold it in place because sometimes they will slip and slide on us. So sometimes you will see me not use them, but this is the one time that I do use them to keep them from slipping and sliding. I'm going to go 1/4 inch on either side of that line that I folded. Again, you could absolutely draw it. It's up to you. Move a couple things out of my way. So the best thing about this is we're making 2 half square triangles at the same time. Okay, we're going to turn that around and do the other side. And this is totally up to you. You can make the choice to chain piece them, do all 4 at one time, and then go back and do the other side. That's totally up to you. So we're going to have this is on either side of the line that I folded. Like I said, I didn't bother to go ahead and draw it because why do that? We're going to use a straight edge. It could be any straight ruler. If it is not as long, and I do have that, I didn't feel like reaching. But if it isn't as long as the block's diagonal, just take your time. It's going to be in your seams anyway. So it really doesn't matter if it's a little wonky, as long as you don't cut your stitches. Okay, so we have 2 half square triangles done. Hey Janine. And we have 6 more to go. Once these are done, these get pressed and they get set aside. Because I'm folding these, it doesn't make a difference which way I go. So sometimes when you have a lighter fabric and a darker fabric, when you are making half square triangles, you absolutely would try to draw, if depending on the pen you have, on the lighter one. If you have a light pen or pencil marking tool, you can draw on the darker one. Then I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, and I can just finger press. And then when I open that, we can see that line. Lining up my fabric. I want this to be as straight lined up as possible. And then I can pin them. You just don't want them in the seam, but this is just to hold everything together. We'll take this back to our machine and 1/4 inch on either side. Watch your pins as you're sewing, because this is the reason I don't like to use pins, is for some reason I think that somebody had a vendetta with the world and they made those pins extra sharp. And I am good for poking myself with a pen. Okay. So again, you can either use a straight edge or take your time. And if you run, move these out the way so I don't cut them by accident, because you know I'll do that too. If I take my time, I can go right along. The straight edge keeps me from, slipping and then, you know, ruining a block. Two down, two to go. So the making the stars is the harder of the two right now. And that's why so much of this can get done in step 1. Oh, forgot to fold this. So much can get done in step 1 because you're like the biggest part of the blocks that you're making, you're only making a 4-patch really, are these like these big blocks that are just nothing more than these half square triangles. So again, I can finger press, hand press, whatever you want to call it, line everything up. Sometimes when you cut your squares, you might not cut them as evenly as you would like. So just, you know, kind of play around with it to get it as perfect as you possibly can. Okay. And then here we go. So again, we are working on the Haven quilt along. So there are 2 different crafts, if you will, 2 different makes. One is a quilt and the other one is cross stitch. So if you're interested in participating and quilting is not your thing, but you don't mind doing cross stitch, you can absolutely do cross stitch. Who is calling me? Spam. We don't do spam. Okay, that's 3. Annie, thank you for the follow. So you absolutely, like I said, do not have to use the straight edge, but be careful because I am good for running off in the wrong direction. And we can take all these to the iron at the same time. We don't have to iron them one by one. And we have one more. And this is, other than resizing it, so far away from the machine. Sometimes, Abby, I hunch like this, and so I try not to hunch. Okay. So we have, again, I'm folding it in half on a diagonal, and I'm just pressing finger pressing to get that fold. So we are doing the Haven Charity Quilt Along, sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabrics. So this is the kit that I am using. The pattern is free, so I can talk about all the dimensions and everything that I like, because this is a free pattern that can be downloaded from the Fat Quarter website. This is their quilt along for the for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is the Haven quilt along. That is their fundraiser for 2026. Thank you. Hey, Tajari, how are you doing, love bug? I know. I was like, I have this project that's knocking me off of my Christmas wheel, and the project I have to do tomorrow night is knocking me off my Christmas wheel. But, you know, I got some Christmas things that I will be doing. So I'm just pinning my fabric just to hold it in place because these pieces are so big. And because I did the folding, you can see the line. So that's what I'm using. Thank you. After working in education for over 30 years, you learn not to yell. Like, okay, let me try this and see if this works with you just a little bit better. So just holding my fabric. You don't need to pull your fabric when you sew. Yes. So tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, I'll be hacking a bag pattern using another quilt pattern because I'm ambitious. Okay. And then there we go. And again, I can use either any straight edge if I choose. And that just helps me to make sure, hopefully, that my rotary blade is staying straight. So I can either do it by hand or I can do it with the straight edge. Okay. So all of my half square triangles are now cut out. I don't have to run right back to the machine. Which way do I want to go? So here are the half square triangles right here. So they're just as is. So the two blocks that we need to piece together are this one that has two stars in here that are different colors, and then the split star that's here. So this is the block, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So that's what we have to make, but we're making those last. So the first thing they have us do is make our blocks, and then they tell us to trim these. You press them and then you trim them to 12.5 inches. So I do have a 12.5 inch ruler. It's a standard ruler for most quilters. It's a 12.5 inch, so it's a standard block. And this is what I can use to square that up. So I will do that when I get to that part. But for now, I can set these aside. Because when I press, I can press them all at the same time, move things over. No sense in pressing just those and squaring them up when I can square up some other stuff as well. So now, the next part of this is that we need to, now I may have to draw some diagonal lines, but we'll see. So we are making the squares for this, as well as, and then the flying geese. And I'll show you where they come in. So this is the block that we're making, 4 of these. They're going to be 12.5-inch square as well. So everything is 12.5-inch square. Here you need a half square triangle, and here you need a half square triangle. That's what helps to make the split. This is going to be a big half square triangle in here, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, these are flying geese. So we need 2 flying geese with the bigger floral. We need 2 flying geese with the smaller floral. We need a plain, a big square, a small square for this corner, a small white square for this corner. So you can kind of see how everything plays in together. Also, kind of like to explain to myself what's going on, so then that way I remember myself what I need to do. Okay? So for this, make sure I'm on the right side because they tell you everything that you need. These are D. And I. So these clips are a game changer. You can get these from Fat Quarter Shop, or you can make them. I made them. So either way is fine, but it really does help to keep everything organized. We are taking a dark and a light to create our half square triangles. I could either draw the line first and then lay it on top, or I can lay them on top and draw the line. It does not matter. They're a little curvy because I had them in the box all weekend. I prepped everything, and then I said, oh, let me get this done this weekend, and that did not happen. I need a straight edge. This is a template that I use for my flying geese, but I can use this as a straight edge. And I just go from corner to corner, and then I draw a line. Corner to corner, same thing. We're just doing half square triangles right now until we switch to our flying geese. Method is similar, it just varies just a little bit when we get to it. Okay, cool beans. Now, because that piece was, these pieces are a little bit smaller, we can slide this machine in a little bit more. That bigger one, I was like, oof. Just line everything up. I have my line here on the fabric, and I'm using that as my guide for my 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch on either side. Half square triangles, the 1/4 inch goes on either side of the drawn line. Again, I can flip this around and do the other side. Oh, running out of thread. I have to put in a new bobbin. Or I can chain piece them. And that's just doing one after the other until one side is done on all of them, and then going back and doing the other side. So either way is totally up to you, which way you want to go. Okay, and then we'll flip it and then do the same thing going back. I think, nope, no we're not. Bobbin chicken won. No, it didn't. I mean, well, technically I won because I was able to get that out before I ran out. Thank you for sending your daily heart me. How are you doing today, Rachel? Take that one out. And we'll put this one in. Sometimes I like to run my bobbins down and get new thread on them. I usually keep enough white, gray, wound up so that I can have them ready whenever I'm sewing. Oh, awesome. Thank you. And then we're just going to do the other side. I switched and turned the first one around, so I don't need to do that one again. So this is what we're looking for. That 1/4 inch on either side and the of that line. Thank you. So we're just going straight down the line. Until we finish all 3 of them, because 4 was done by the switch. And again, this is personal preference, whether you want to chain or do each one individually. That's totally up to you. Aw, I'm sorry you've been missing me. Okay, slide that back for a minute. So now, with the exception of squaring these up, my half-square triangles are done. But let's show a little trick. I can take this one, line it up with this line. This one, line it up with the same line. This one, line it up with the same line. And this one, and line it up with the same line. And then I can use my straight edge to cut them all. Make sure that when you're using your straight edge that you're paying attention to the fact that everything is there and didn't slip. And cut. And let's get that, because if I used a longer straight edge, I wouldn't have missed it. And kaboom. All of them are done. It just saves you the trouble of lining each one up and doing them again. Okay, so these half-square triangles are now completed. Again, we need to press, we're going to press those in a minute. Well, in a couple minutes, we're going to press those, and then we are going to trim those to 3.5 inches. So before we get to those, we're going to do some things with flying geese. Now, when we do the flying geese, we are going to have to press one side and then press the other side. So here we go. So we have this here, and we have E and M. Okay, so again, here are the flying geese, and you have the white, which is what I'm working on right now. So this is the white background with the points that are going to be from this. That's one set of flying geese. Then I have this background, and I think it's G. Let me just make sure I'm not crazy. Yep, G. With this is going to be another set of flying geese. So this is one set for the one half of the split, and then this is the other half for the other half of the split. And then in the center of that, we're going to use C and L, and that's what's going to go in here. F is going to go in a corner, K is going to go in another corner. And those will be all of the pieces that we will have to put together for the block. And then we'll be able to put the whole block together once all those are done. Okay. And sometimes it's good to check that to make sure it's right. I was working on flying geese yesterday, so I'm in the flying geese rhythm. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you start with, as long as you know what you're doing and what's going together. There are 4 blocks, 2 flying geese. That's a total of 8 that you will need. So there should be 16 of these, there should be 8 of these, and the same way with this. So again, you can make that decision. You can either draw or you can finger press. This time when you're making flying geese, you are not taking the flying geese, the line, and sewing on either side of the line. This time you're sewing directly on the line. So the flying geese are a little different from the half square triangles, because we sew on the line to create. So the easiest way for me to work this is factory style. So I'm just going to press and sew, press and sew. And this is like I factory it when I call it that, like a factory, like an assembly line. Because I just find that that's easier for me to do it that way. Now, if I miscounted, again, this is my opportunity to make sure that I have what I need. I should have a total of 8. So just laying it down. Again, I'm finger pressing. I can see that line. And I can take it to my machine and stitch right on that line. Absolutely. Thank you, Fats Drawing and Discussion. So we're just folding and finger pressing. Direction isn't as important for the first one. It's going to be important when you get to the second square. That's going to have to go on there. Okay, I should have 4 left, which means I should have done 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have what I need. Because I must admit, I cut out extra. So I want to make sure I don't do extra if I don't have to. I was cutting the blocks in, like, sometimes it was just easier to cut 10, and sometimes it was easier to cut if they, because, you know, sometimes I mess up. And so it's easier just to have a couple extra blocks on hand in case I make a boo-boo and then I have to do it again. So, but these are for each side. Thank you for the follow. So we're just pressing with our fingers. You don't have to do an iron press. It doesn't have to be a permanent crease. What I'm trying to do is just to see where I need to stitch on. So that's all I care about right now, is what I'm stitching on. Now I can either start the next one. The directions tell you to do them one at a time. Thank you for the roses, Chrissy. You can make a decision whether you want these to go one at a time or whether you just want to sew everything down one side and then sew everything down the other side. You need both of them in order to complete the block. So it's not like, you know, it'll mess you up or anything else like that. You'll just, all your blocks will be done. So again, this is the Haven Charity quilt along. I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying stitch because there is a cross stitch pattern for the same design as this quilt from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it allows you to participate in the quilt and stitch along that is sponsored by Moda and the Fat Quarter Shop. And the proceeds are benefiting the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And so if you have a child who has been a part of Make-A-Wish, you know how important that is. Or if you know a child or family, or if you just know anything about charities in general, children usually, they have some sort of critical illness. Illness could be a stretch of a word, just because it could be something, like it could be a heart disease, right? And technically like a heart problem, heart murmur. You could live with that for the rest of your life. So it's not going to off you. But, you know, it is something that the child has to live with, maybe lots of surgeries, things like that. And there's just a way for this organization to make wishes for children come true. So some of those wishes have been on social media where they will have met a person that they wanted to meet. And it could be a creator. It could be somebody like Beyonce. It could be, you know, something like going to Disney World. So the child gets to choose what they want their wish to be. Okay, so our stitch is here, and we can either use our scissors and cut about 1/4 inch off. And I'll show you another thing that people do, but I don't do it. So some people, instead of cutting that off, will create another line. I refuse to have that small of a piece, but some people find the use for that, and if they like it, I love it. Okay, so they'll have 2 lines like this, and then when they go, and maybe I should have made that a little wider, but what it does is it gives you a second, like a smaller half square triangle, and so you can use that for another project. Yes, I know, you know, like plenty of people do it. I just don't. But, you know, I like to point out what, you know, everybody does, because quilting is your own, and you decide how, you know, you want to run it. Now, there are times when I wish I did do it because I do like to do scrappy quilts, and there would be some half square triangles that I could use if I actually took the time to do that. Okay. I am pressing my fabric to the dark side so it is underneath the printed, and that way it shadows through the printed, but it doesn't shadow through the white. And the same thing has to be done for all 8 of them. Now, while we're here doing our flying geese, we actually could press out our half square triangles that we worked on as well. You can also take these, if you choose, use your straight edge, give yourself about that 1/4 of an inch. This your ruler would have it, this doesn't, so I'm giving myself about that 1/4 of an inch. You could cut multiple ones off at the same time. These just go in my scrap bin. But again, your choice which way you want to go with that. And then we press. Try very hard not to iron, because when you iron your fabric, when you iron and you're pressing and you're ironing at the same time, sometimes it will warp or wave your fabric, and then you get these uneven measures, which can be caught sometimes when you trim the block or the piece. But you know, to avoid that, you try not to move that fabric too much while you're pressing on it. Thank you, Rachel. So we have 4 more that we need to go. I did this on a different side. This and this and this one. No, they're all on a different side. Which is not a problem, because again, I'm going to do the other side on the second pass. Just make sure I'm on the outside for the seam, not on the inside. And then we'll just go in, we'll do our half square triangles, these, so we'll press those next. Okay, again, apply a little steam. Oops, I actually pushed that one back when I was pressing that one, but that's okay because we'll press it open and it'll go back. Again, your choice. You can press the seams open or you can press them closed. There are more ideal ways, I will say, for some people. Like some people say, you know, when you go to nest them, they lock better when you press to the dark side. If you can press to the dark side. So if you press to one direction, they lock better. They nest better. If you press them open, your blocks lay flatter. So you don't have these humps. You don't have as great of a hump. Especially like when you have to quilt over it, it's like you'll get this little raise in the where the fabric is the greatest. So for example, on this side of the seam where the green is, there is 1 layer, 2 layers, and then the white makes 3 layers. 3 layers of fabric. On this side of the white, there's only the 1 layer. So there's more of a hump on this side than there is on this side. But again, depending on what you're doing, what happens with the blocks, it either makes a difference to have that hump or it doesn't make a difference to have that hump. Okay, so all of the one side of the half square triangles for the green are done. Let me slide this one out the way because you're not using that one just yet. You move these out the way so I don't get them confused. And these are our half square triangles. When I press seams open, I flat the heart, I put the dark side on the top, pressing them like this first. There is this thing that I learned, and they said you're kind of flattening the thread. Now, if you ask me, I thought the thread was flat or the spool, but okay. And then it'll help to get it to go to that one side. So, you know, it made sense when they said it. So we have that. I try very hard to starch my fabric or wash my fabric, if I choose to wash it, before the process. This way, I hopefully, if I have to just give it a little bit of spray starch, it should not shrink my fabric as much as it would if I spray it after I start this process. So you want to starch, steam, wash anything that adds moisture to your fabric before you cut it. That way, if there's any shrinkage, any great amount of shrinkage, you will capture some of that before you cut. There still may be some after you cut, but at least you've gotten the, hopefully, majority of it, or at least some of it, before the cutting and then the spraying later. Sometimes my starch allows my seams that want to pop up on me a little bit too much. It will allow it to lay a little flatter. So sometimes I can't avoid it, even though I want to. And that's one way to help me to not have as much shrinkage. So we're just pressing these open. These are the only small half square triangles that we have for this particular star. Our goal is to finish that one section of pieces for now, and I may do the other one tonight. We'll see how I feel. We'll see. Okay, we got two more. But once, like with this assembly line, it goes relatively quickly. So again, anybody who is coming in late, we are, let me go to the page. We are on part 1, because somebody is behind, of the Haven 2026 Charity Quilt Along. And here is the finished quilt. And what they did in the directions, this is a free pattern. What they did in the directions is they just kind of showed you one square, if you will. All the squares are the same, they're just rotated. So in that, we are doing this part first and this part second. And I was like, why? But it makes sense, like these two are easy regardless. This is a bigger block, so this is a little bit easier to do. These little points are going to be small, and you're gonna have to spend a little bit more time paying attention. So this is the Haven 2026 Quilt Along. This is sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabrics. Okay, so these are done with the exception of squaring them, trimming them. Let me get my language right. And then we have 8 of these that need to be pressed and then trimmed. And then we'll finish all the flying geese, and then we're going to trim everything. sewing for a long time today or sewing for a long time period? I haven't been sewing for a long time today. Okay, so we're just opening this. Yeah, it's been, when I was younger, I hung out with my grandmother, and my grandmother was a seamstress, and actually my mother she would sew as well. My mother just didn't have the patience. My grandmother had the patience. My mother didn't. So this is the press for this. So my mother, you know, she didn't do the sewing. My grandmother did. So, you know, I hung out with her, and there was a community center right down the street, my father's mother, paternal mother, and we would go there on Thursday nights, and she would help with the sewing class, and of course, they taught me how to make garments. Wasn't as formal as it is now, but it was a pleasure to work with her. So I look forward to being over there every week with her to learn how to sew. I made some of my clothes when I was younger. Grandma made a lot of them for me. And then as I got older, she gave me her machine so that I could sew. Back then, what was it, a Kenmore? And then she bought another machine. She brought a brother, and she was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this brother. She wanted her Kenmore back. I don't know why we never switched back. But oh, I know why, because the Kenmore was heavier. And so she needed something that was lighter because she was getting older. Okay, so this really does go quickly in terms of the bigger blocks. It is a small baby size. It is under 60, under 60 inches square. So it's not like a big throw. So you know you could always go to the YT University to get started. There are a lot of great social media accounts where people will share with you like tips and tricks. And I know, like, for my journey for learning how to do things, I absolutely watch them and have learned a great amount of things. Okay. So I'm talking about Canada. Send us all that smog. And I was actually oblivious to it myself. Okay, thank you for the follow. I went to Nova Scotia and Montreal years ago. Hi, Ava. How are you guys making out? Because I know it's like right there with you. Because I know the rain has kind of helped us out, but I've also been inside. Ava, we are making the Haven 2026 charity quilt along quilt that is sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabric. Somebody left her water right in the kitchen. Okay, so the blocks are finished minus the trimming. So they still need to be trimmed. We're gonna set these over to the side because I'm gonna like stand up and trim. Oops, I dropped my bear. So we'll finish those. So we still have one set of Flying Geese to finish, and we have this side to finish, to start. Then we have the side to finish. Okay. So this is what it looks like so far. And what we're going to do is now do the same thing on the other side. That's why it didn't make a difference which side you started on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the little kisses. I love you so much, and getting your daily heart made. Thank you. So again, we're just going to take those. Now it matters because what we want is for this to be in the corner and for these two to meet. You do want to have an overlap because that overlap is what's going to help to create the seam. Pick this up. It's going to go underneath our machine. And we're sewing on the fold. And we're going to do the same thing for the other 7. So I'm folding. Oops, I'm finger pressing. And you could draw if you want to. Make sure that I'm turning it the right way so that they're meeting. And then I'm going to take it to the machine. Make sure everything's lined up because sometimes it'll shift when you don't use your pins. And so right on that line. We could do a whole trimming session for all 3, so that would be like perfect. Trimming sometimes, like when I first started quilting, I didn't trim like I should have. And I can tell the difference in the blocks that I made. The difference that trimming makes. Because first of all, one assumes that I assumed that I was almost perfect when I was sewing. Now, 20 some years later, I'm not perfect. But I thought I was. I thought I was doing it the way it was supposed to be done, and it really didn't matter. And when you're sewing like a garment, accuracy is important as well, but sometimes you can get away with it being a little off. With quilting, it's going to show. It's going to show a lot more if you're a little off. If you're a lot off, it doesn't matter what you're doing. But in quilting, it will show if you're a little off. And so, and over time, like 1/8 of an inch plus 1/8 of an inch plus 1/8 of an inch is going to make something like wider. So you might have one side of your quilt that's like this big, and then the other side like that. And it's like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. But it happened because you weren't making sure that you had the sizes that you needed, and you didn't trim it the way you were supposed to. So trimming matters. Okay, we have 3 more. Okay, actually did cut just enough of these. And again, it's just a reminder, this is the Haven quilt. This is a free pattern from the Fat Quarter Shop. It is part of a Quilt Along fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You do not have to know how to quilt. You can absolutely, if you follow the Fat Quarter Shop on their blog, The Jolly Jabber, it gives you all the information that you need, and you will have a link that will allow you to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation in partnership with the backorder shop, so they get credit, you know, for their fundraiser. And their goal is to raise $10,000. They are also, along with MODA, they are going to match up to 3. And I just, you know, as a school teacher, as a person that loves children, you know, I just think that that's absolutely wonderful. Okay. So everything is all chained together. Oops. And we're going to follow the same process that we did before on the other side. And then we can either start the next one or we can trim these. And I think what I will do is I will trim these. We'll do a trimming session. I think I did all these. I think I did all these. Okay, so we cut off our piece, or we use our rotary cutter. Again, it's up to you. If you choose to make those second set of half square triangles with it, there's nothing wrong with not doing it, but you know, some of us, we like to save fabric. And some of us have so much fabric that I can do something else with these pieces, so I don't need to save these. And I don't know what I would use them for, even though I have enough fabric to probably use them, but we'll leave that theory alone. So I can either use my rotary cutter or use my scissors. To cut. That is totally up to you. Over my pile behind me. Slide those out the way. And then we're going to now open these up and press towards the dark side again. Okay, and it should look like that. So the great thing is that there aren't that many stars. So there are some quilts that have a ton of stars. Now, mind you, for the second block that we're doing, there are 2. So there's going to be a total of 8 of those that we need to make. So each square is going to have 4 flying geese, and they're all the same color. So 4 times 4 is 16. So we'll be making 16 of the flying geese. Yes. This is the aliso. And it is a smart iron. So when you have these sensors up here, when you untouch them, then the feet go away. So you can leave it laying flat versus sitting it straight up. I have a tendency to let it sit straight up because that's the way I'm used to ironing. And I know that in another session, someone said, well, then what's the purpose, right? Because I have the flexibility. And it's nothing more than that. Not in a nasty way, but it's nothing more than that. Okay. Let me move that back. Okay, I have a couple different tools that I like to use. This is the wing clipper, and this is by Studio 180. This is a Deb Tucker wing clipper. So it has all these little measurements and things on it that allows me to work with half square triangles. I prefer to do it that way. Let me tell you, if you don't, and you have a regular ruler, it takes a little bit longer, but it can be done. You can take your regular ruler, line everything up, and trim the same way that you would, but yeah, I don't have time to think like that. So I believe in paying for convenience, and I can line everything up with this. Bad angle, girl, bad angle. I can line, oh, I like that angle better. Okay, let me do this. That sun is shining, the sun is shining, there's plenty of light. Okay, there we go. So I can line everything up so that you can get an accurate cut. And the great thing about this is that usually when we create these types of blocks, they're standard. So because they're standard, this they're saying should be 3.5 by 6.5. If I go to my measurements, which again I can share with the free pattern, it's 3.5 by 6.5. So the great thing about this is that, hey Charmaine, I don't have to think about what I'm doing because this template is already has it set up for me. So I take the point of this, and these little X's right here go into that point. Line everything up, and as luck would be it, it's just about accurate to what it needs to be. Just in case, I'm just going to run my rotary cutter on those edges and cut off that little bit of excess. You flip it upside down because you only did these outer two edges, and then it has markings to do the same thing on the other side. There are other wing clippers. This isn't the only one, but this is the one that I use. So I went to a quilt show and they demonstrated it. And you know, my thing is, when I go to a quilt show and they demonstrate something, it's usually added to my cart. And you know, because I'm like, I'm coming out of here with this. I usually try to go and support the businesses, and they always have something there that I can buy. If it's a little off, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's good like to even practice with certain quilts to make sure that their measurements are exact. So then that way you know how to move. Because sometimes if the measurements are not exact, I may do a bigger block. So if this one called for, let's say 6.5 inches and then 4 inches, I think it was for the squares. If it called for that, then I might go to 4 1/4 and 6 1/3 and that 6 1/4, and that would give me just a little bit more room so that I could make sure that when I trim everything, that it's exactly where I want it to be. Because the better the accuracy, the better the block. So I'd rather lose some fabric and have a crisp corner and pointy points than I am concerned about using the least amount of fabric and not having those. Because as you can see, I've done 1, 2, 3 blocks out of the 5, and this is all the extra that I have left. So I mean, when they made this, they said, girl, you getting exact. Now the other thing could be that my 1/4 inch could be off. And I'm not saying that it is, I'm just saying like sometimes that happens. So I also want to check that as well. Because if your 1/4 inch is off, then that'll mess up your block. And it won't mess it up like it's the end of the world. It just means that you might not have a point somewhere that you want it pointing. But I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. With this, you also want your 1/4 inch right here. You want this from the point to the top to be a 1/4 inch. And what that does is that when you sew, because we're using a 1/4 inch, it means that the fabric will go into the seam and the point will be on the other side. And because of that, you don't lose your point into the seam. I don't know why I flipped the fabric and the ruler. That didn't make sense. The unit. Okay, and you don't, like, sometimes you don't even hear anything. Sometimes you hear a little something because it's either under the ruler because it's a little tad bit short, or because it's like right there. So you might not hear anything, but you might get rid of some of those little frays. But I'm also not rushing this process because I don't need to accidentally slip, and I want to make sure everything is just about as accurate as I possibly can get it. Okay, we have 2 more. Now, when this goes together, the star itself can go together, but the entire part of the block is not going to be able to go together because we still need to do that other piece that had the 2 stars in it in order to complete the block, because it's like a 4-patch. So we will have 3 of the 4 done. So we still need to do the 4th one in order to complete it. So once we, do that one, let's not slip, girl, let's not slip. And we'll be able to do that. So all of the flying geese are together for this one. We only need to now do the 2nd one with the bigger flowers, but let me show you. I'm telling you, I move stuff and then I go, where is it? I see it. It's blending in with everything else. You take those off the table. So, you can tell that sun is moving now. Okay, so with this, these are half square triangles. On your ruler, if you have the right ruler, you will have a line. This is our 45-degree angle line, and this is what we use with these. Now, there's 2 different things that I could use, but this is one of them. A little harder to see. They tell us the measurement should be 3.5. I line up everything nice and neatly, and I'll go over that part again when I do the 2nd one. Okay, and then we flip it, and we do the other corner, opposite corner. Making sure everything is at 3.5, making sure that our line is in the center, and then we trim. And we get a clean block like that. A clean unit. In the habit, I call these blocks, and they're not really blocks, they're units. I had another ruler. I know where it is. I never took it out of the thing. So I do have a ruler like this for half square triangles, but I don't need it because I can use these. So since I have them, I have these in all different sizes, and I can use them. So it really doesn't matter which one I use. But I do like the other one that I have because I can do quarter square triangles with those, and I like that with that one. Oh, no problem. So one should be standing up. If you stand up, what happens is you don't have to put as much pressure on your arm to do the cut. It gives you the opportunity to use your body weight. So your body weight will kind of help that blade to push in rather than, using your arm. So, if Lazy stood up, Lazy would line everything up. And then I don't have to push as hard on the rotary cutter. Because my body weight is doing the work for me. The wording is measure once, measure twice, cut once. So make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. Take a second look and then cut. Because the reality is that it's going to be hard to cut twice unless you cut it too big. If you cut it too small, twice means you're cutting another unit out. And depending on how much fabric you have, that might not be a good thing. But the standing up allows me to really get in there. Now, the difference between standing up for me is that at my age, the eyesight isn't all that great. And sometimes I can't see the numbers the way that I want to. That's why I like to sit here. But I'm going to sit down for a second just to look to see if I missed any comments. It doesn't look like it. And then I will have to stand up for the next one because those are bigger. But actually I could do those on the next round. Just making sure everything is nice and straight. It's at the measurement that it's supposed to be at. If it's not, I'm going to adjust it. And this is one of the reasons why I like that other tool, because I don't have to do all that with the other tool. Oh, we got this already. Put them in the wrong pile. I was like, why is this not working? Thank you. Tuesday nights. And well, usually I'll do Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. Sometimes I do 7. If I'm on at 7, I am still on till 9. Unless it was something really easy that I was making. But usually because of quilting, nothing's easy. Well, I won't say it's not easy. It's not quick. But thank you for joining in today. I truly appreciate you. So we're just going in again. Again, don't forget, if you are doing your daily heart me, that you are checking out all of your points before you check out of the live. keep putting it in the wrong pile. That's why I moved them. So on this, there are what these little corners are called dog ears. The dog ears need to go. They don't really serve a purpose, and they just kind of get in the way. So you might as well just get rid of those. Oops. Got it. So we have one more of the half square triangles for this to go, and then the only thing that we have left are the ones that look like this for the flying geese, and then those will be done. We'll finish those up, and then we're able to put that block together, and then the block will be together, and then from there we just need to make the second block, and I will do that in part 2. So again, and part 2 maybe, depending on how I feel, maybe tonight to get it out the way, or I may do it on Wednesday. I might do Wednesday. Okay, so here are all the half square triangles. They are complete. So my half square triangles are trimmed up. My flying geese in this color are trimmed up. These are not trimmed. These are bigger and they require a bigger ruler, and I don't need them right away, so no need to stop for those right now. They're going to be opposite those blocks that I'm making, so I can do those. Again, these are all of the blocks that I need to create the block. This is another half square triangle I have to make. So I lied. I have another half square triangle. So these are half square triangles that I need to make, and these are flying geese. So we have the half flying geese, and we have the 4 half square triangles. Let's do the half square triangles first. Just because then that breaks up the monotony and the fact that I just got finished doing half square triangles. I'm going to take that, we're going to press it. Okay, so before I get started, just as a reminder for anyone, this is the Haven 2026 Charity Quilt Along. The finished size is 54 by 54. This is sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Motive Fabric. It is supporting and benefiting the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And here is what the finished quilt will look like. They just show you the breakout of what we're making. So we made these 2 half square triangles for this block. They're made for all of them. But for these, we're working on this one now, and then this will be part 2. Okay, these go down, face up. And press those. When I was cutting everything, I actually took my pieces, and then I hi Poopsie, thank you for the little kisses. I folded them and put them in the box. So when I did that, what happened? They got a little crease in them, a little wave in them. So I just needed to hit it with the iron real quick. Okay, so these look like this. And I'm going to show you the way that most people do it. From corner to corner. And mark a line. And I didn't have to go that dark. I just wanted to go that dark so you could see it. So then we are going to sew on either side of the line because these are half square triangles, and half square triangles require us to sew on either part of the line. If I choose, I could take this and fold it in half. That's why I wanted to knock that crease out. And I can finger press these. And then when I open this up, I have a nice crisp line. So I could draw the line with a marking tool, or I could press the line with my hands. I don't want to press it with the iron because then it'll leave a permanent crease there. I don't need a permanent crease. I just want a crease that lets me see how I have to stitch. My needle is going to be off of the line. The edge of the foot, or wherever that 1/4 inch is going to be what I am using to follow that line for. I can flip this around and do the same thing on the other side. So then it looks like that. And you can kind of sort of see that little fold still there. We'll do the same thing with this one. It doesn't matter whether you are garment sewing, bag sewing, quilting, you don't need to pull your fabric. There are times when it might have to happen. You have to give it a gentle nudge, but you should not have to pull because pulling causes stretching and waving. Your hand should not be behind a machine pulling. Okay, so this is done. You can see that a lot better with the stitches and the line. Let me take it out the sun glare. And again, your choice. You can either use a straight edge, go right on that line that you drew or that you folded. And you get 2 pieces for your half square triangles. Or, if your hand is steady enough, you can just use your rotary cutter. Take your time. You don't want to zip because zipping causes you to mess up. And you can separate it that way. Now the inside, I'm going to have to refer back to my measurements because I had one measurement for, it's probably 6.5 because the flying geese were 6.5. So there's certain things that I do know about the blocks, and as you create them, you'll learn more about how the blocks work. And as you learn more about how the blocks work, then you'll be a little bit more confident. Like, I'm almost sure that this is going to be 6.5 inches square. And when I look at the directions, I'll probably be right. Nothing I can do about it if they're not. And they're too short, then I have to think about doing something different. Why is my arm itching? Either eating something taking something or doing something that's causing itching. Okay. So all of these are done, right? This is exactly 6.5 inches, so this is perfect if that's what it's supposed to be. We're going to go back to our directions. Again, this is a free pattern. Free patterns say I can share this any way that I want. And I look here, and yep, it's 6.5 inches. So this is a perfect way to show this, because this is the same size, which is another reason why we end up buying 50 bazillion rulers. I can lay this on the line, line everything up, and I don't have to worry about looking on the inside because everything is on the outside. And again, these measurements are so close to accurate that I know I'm not going to have a whole lot of wiggle room for error. Make sure it's right on the edges. And that's squared up. I say squared up, trimmed down, because you're actually trimming it to size. What am I making for? People think about that. Two. Hello, 2DB. How are you doing, darling? Whoops. Somebody didn't get off the edge. Again, measure twice. Cut once. And we have one more, and then we just have our 8 flying geese to go, and we will be done all of the units. Was that on today? I'll tell you, I wasn't paying attention. Oh, okay. I thought I was paying attention to the schedule. There's so many bags this week that need to be made. I'm making one tomorrow. Making Renee's again, not quite as big as I made it before. Okay. So here are all of the scraps from those 4. Last but not least, we have our last flying geese. Just want to get that hump out, because that's just going to drive me crazy. Cool. I think I cut more of these than I needed. I know I did one of them like that. Just gonna press these with my fingers. Gets me a nice fold. Doesn't matter which way I put it. And I'm sewing flying geese. How are we sewing? On the line. For half square triangles, we sew off the line by 1/4 inch. Flying geese, we sew on the line. So once we finish the 8 flying geese, then we're able to put the blocks together. The blocks go together like a 9 patch. So there's going to be 9 pieces. There's going to be 4 flying geese, 2 squares, 2 half square triangles, and the center. So you could take the time to draw your line on each one. That is totally up to you. Yep. So, is that summer school? Somebody is that or somebody breaks. Can't be summer school this late. It has to be somebody's breaks. Now I know that I need to do all of the flowers, so I know that I am finished when all those flowers run out. There are plenty of quilts that would require all of this to happen all the way throughout, because that's how many stars you would have. So I am grateful for the big behind half square triangles. That are taking up some of the blocks. Because then this doesn't take as long to make. My goal is to get this quilt top done by the end of the week. I might quilt it before the end of the week. We'll see. I have a couple other projects and a couple other things that I need to get completed. So I know Wednesday I should be home. Thursday I have to get my car inspected, but for the most part should be home. Friday I will be in the wind. Saturday I'll be in the wind, but I may do some sewing on those days. But I won't be able to do long arming. So it'll be this type of quilting, or piecing we could call it, that I will be getting done. So I need to think about like what I'll be working on. Like I know I need to work on the exploding heart. So Avis and I will be working on the exploding heart. And I know I need to finish my Christmas quilt door hanging. So I know I'll be working on that one, along with maybe another project. Okay, so everything is chained. lay that one on there for right now. We will snip the chains, break the chains, break every chain, break every chain. Okay, and y'all don't need to hear me sing, let alone try to create some humor. And again, we will cut the excess off outside. You can either do them with your scissors or do them with your rotary cutter. That's up to you. And again, some people save these scraps on this side by stitching another line and creating an alternate half square triangle. I'm not doing that. Yes, I do. I love that as well. But you still don't want to hear me sing it. I'll make you unlove it. Singing is not my ministry. I said I tell people, they're like, oh, you should. I'm like, know your talent, know your gift. Talent, it is not a talent, nor is it a gift for me to sing. Nope. There are no parts of that. Okay, so those pieces are cut. We're going to press to the dark side. We're going to press to the light side for these, because I want these seams to go this way. I could press them like this if I chose, but what's going to happen is if they press this way here, they're going to press this way here and create a hump. This way, if they press out, that hump won't be there. And again, personal preference. Which way you want that to go. So once we finish this, I would say, what, 3/4 of the quilt will be finished, because half of it wasn't hard to do at all. And then we just need to finish the other half. Like I said, probably maybe Wednesday. The information for the quilt along, I did post a video, so you can go to that for all the information that you need for the quilt along. But again, this supports our babies from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Again, children with critical illnesses. And they get that one wish. Life-changing. I still have one on my machine that I need to get rid of. I'm going to fold these, and we're going to go in the other direction. So we're going to go from corner up. Because if I do it a different way, I'm going to have a different block. So there is a right way and a wrong way. There, and then we did one, so we have 7 more to go. when, like sometimes when I am looking at patterns and I look at half square triangles and I look at flying geese, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that, right? Because it's a lot of sewing, a lot of drawing of the, or folding of the squares to get the lines. You have to trim them. And so sometimes I won't, like I don't gravitate towards them. But I always love the way they look in the end. I don't love them when I'm looking at them. They're not a hard thing to do. I did do some videos on making half square triangles. I have to look and see if I did one on flying geese. I want to say I did. But if I didn't, that'll be coming up. I know I did a video for blocks, making the blocks, and in making the blocks we would have made half square triangles and flying geese. So, you know, as I said, I know that I probably had extra, and it looks like I do. It looks like I made 2 more than I should have, which is fine because usually my math ain't mathing, and this is an easy way for me to guarantee that I have enough to do what I need to do. Because usually if I'm doing a video, I'm like, oh man, I'm missing a block. So this is the first one so far. I still have, and I'll save these because I do have another block that I need to make, and it's possible that I miscounted and put the extra blocks in here instead of in the other count. So I don't want to get rid of blocks or use them for something else until the quilt is finished, because it's possible that I'll need them. And then I'll be mad that I got rid of them. Even though I have enough white fabric to make 2 more. I have enough white fabric to make quite a few more. And then here's the last one. Okay, cool beans. Okay, so everything is chained again. I'm going to set that aside so that way I'll be able to find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we know we need to cut. We used scissors the last time, we'll use a rotary cutter. This time, do not cut on your seams. Cut a 1/4 inch. Do not cut on your, on your stitches. Cut a 1/4 inch away from them. I forgot to get. I went to the supermarket today and I bought everything but milk. And I know, well, I could make it too. Wawa, but it'll be too much like right. So we're gonna open these up and press. So we have 8 of them to press. Thank you for the follow. It's 1. It's 2. And I'm trying very hard not to move the fabric all around because I don't want to wave my threads and distort the units, even though I'm going to trim them. Thank you for the follow. Okay. Thank you for tapping the screen. We are at 9.6K. And 1 more. And then we are ready to trim and then put all 4 of the blocks together. So again, I use my wing clipper. This particular wing clipper, and she has others. These are 1/2 inch. They do have them for quarters. So they do have different ones, but these are standard. So this goes from 1 and 1 1/2 all the way down to 5 1/2 by 10 1/2. So that's how big, that's the biggest flanges you could make. You could use your regular ruler to square them, to trim them. I just happen to use this because I have it, and when, you know, somebody showed me how easy this was going to make my life, I was sold. And I must admit, it does make my life a little bit easier when making this. So we have 8 of these to go. Well, 7 now. We do want to make sure that this is within that 1/4 inch. When I was at the store, I did not say, you know, I said to myself, you don't need a snack. You don't need no candy. You don't need no chips. So now I have like nothing to munch on. I ate yogurt for breakfast, so I don't want that for lunch. I do have fruit. The bananas are not ripe. And we're just lining everything up. Make sure everything is as good as it can get. And we can just do one right after the other. So I would not advise, that's just, you know, my little humble opinion, I wouldn't do these 1 by 1. Like make 1, trim 1, make 1, trim 1. But I just think that would take forever. And I just think that, like, you get in a rhythm doing this, and it's just easier. To do it this way. I like to establish, so, and even the trimmer will tell you, like, establish your 1/4 inch first. Everything else should line up. It should establish itself either way, but I want to make sure my 1/4 inch from that point to the edge is there, and then everything else is just golden. Said I was going to get work done today for school. That didn't happen. Maybe that Wednesday. I still have this evening if I do it. No, I don't have this evening. Two more to go. And I still need to think about what I need to do for this evening. Oh, I know what I was going to do. And one more. Even though this looks like I did it. I had to. Okay. So again, here's all of the scraps left from all 8 of those. So it's not a lot. And that's the hope. I usually like to leave a little bit more just because I don't like the need to, I like to make sure that they're as accurate as possible. Okay. So it would be nice if all these were going in the right direction. Okay. So we finished the half square triangles. We finished the flying geese. We finished these flying geese. That was the second set. And then these bigger half square triangles. So now we're putting everything together. Now they tell us to, when we do this, we're going to press, and they have us pressing to one side. So they don't have us pressing these open. The arrows mean press in those directions. So we're going to, after we sew everything together, we're going to press these out. We're going to press these in. We're going to press these out. And that's going to help us to nest our seams. And then we're going to end up with a block like that. Now I like to set it down and look at it because somebody has to line this up to make sure it makes sense. And it's easier to look at this and look at this. It's a total of 4. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4. That means the other one is already in 4s. And that goes right there. Is it in 4s or 4s? I don't know. Because you can count wrong. And then this goes right there. You can start to see the star coming together. One, 2, 3, 4. I want to make sure that this is going the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to slide this over when I slide my machine, but I want to make sure that right now it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, it's going to go down here in this corner. So you can see that star starting to come together. This is going to go up in that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something's not turned right. It's going to go here. And then this is going to go here. So boom. And so now you can see the triangle. I mean, you can see the star. This is the time to check your work. Thank you for the follow. Now you're going to check your work to make sure that you're right, because I mess up. So I have my K, I have my solid square, my flying geese, half square triangle facing the right direction. I have my flying geese, half square triangle facing the right direction, other flying geese. Half square triangle facing the right direction, flying geese, and then the solid. So everything is in this right order. I'm going to slide them over. Okay. When I piece mine together, I go across and then I stitch the rows together, which is the same way the directions are going. I like to go boom, boom, boom. And I can either keep doing that until they're all together and then do the other side, or I can do them straight down. That's up to you to decide how you want to do it. Let me move these out the way. Watch, in 2 seconds they're gonna fall on the floor. So if everything is trimmed the way that it's supposed to go, everything should line up. Keyword is should. And I should just be able to put it right under my machine and stitch. Again, up to you. When I stitch this, I want to make sure I go right through the cross. This is a little short of what I need it to be, and it's going to present a little bit of a problem, which is why I'm fudging it a little bit. When it comes to the point, because it wasn't perfect, but that's okay. So either the point will sink down into that one. For that one, you're not going to notice because not everyone is going to do that, or I fixed it. Okay. Slide those over there, and then we'll do the second row. And again, you can decide to do these one by one. You could do them in assembly line. As long as they all get done, you're good. Hey, Coco. We're lining them up. I want to make sure I go right in between the cross. That's going to guarantee, hopefully, that I have a point. Right here. Hi, Miss Kim. We have 2 more to go for the first half. If I can get my pieces to separate. And we could web these if we go this way. It's up to you. Webbing isn't that big of a deal for me. That just means chaining in both directions. But it's not that, like, it's not, you know, like some people are like, yeah, I want to web it. No, it's not that deep. Okay. So again, line it up. There are points along the way that I am stopping to lift the foot up, because your foot will naturally want to push your seams that are going in this direction back towards you. And to keep that from happening, you just have to lift it up when you get close enough to it, adjust, make sure your needle is down, and then that will keep that from happening. The one on the bottom will naturally try to stay that way because something's holding it down. So the first half, well, so the first 2/3 of this row is done, just about done, and we have the other 2/3 to go. The other third. And once we finish that, we just need to sew the rows together, and then the block will be finished other than any trimming. Hey, Miss Tony. Miss Kim, Miss Tony, and Miss Coco. Okay. So, I can 1, 2, 3. This is going to get the other side. Keep it in the same direction so you can see which way it's going. And I'm not going to web them, so I am going to cut each one off. Okay, this one can come off of that one. Okay, so center gets this in here, and I do want to turn this around so that I can get through the center. Hi, how are you doing, Miss Tony? I'm doing wonderful. I want to make sure these are in the right direction. Doesn't matter with this one because this is a solid. It only matters when it's a half square triangle or the flying geese. You want those to go in the right direction. Okay. This goes in the right direction. Now, it's inevitable that even when I do this, that I usually muff one up. Because for some reason, I love the seam rip. I don't know why. So we're just lining everything up. So that should be set number 2 done. row. The row of set number 2 though. And then we have the row. Hey, Sierra, how are you doing, darling? Are you working summer school? We'll line those up. Okay, here we go. And I'm just making sure that I'm laying it back out. Again, trying to avoid messing up. But it's inevitable. So almost did. Almost messed that one up. And then we'll do this one. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for those of you who got your daily heart made. Don't forget, you need to collect all of your points from your daily heart made before the live ends. Otherwise, those points will be gone. Unless I just happen to come back up later, which I don't think that that's going to happen, but you never know. I'm thinking about going on another expedition tomorrow morning, and if I do that, I don't want to keep myself up late tonight. So then if I'm not live, I won't work on this because I'm, you know, doing the videos for this. So I need to do the live, or I need to just do a video, and it's easier to do a live. Okay. So we're going to press these, and then we are going to, hi Audra, we are going to, sew the rows together, and then we'll be done. So we have somewhere in here, top, bottom. And I'm just leaving the units together just because it just makes sense to do that. See, I told you. No, I did it right. It just doesn't look right. Wow. Okay. I need to snip these units because they're going to drive me crazy otherwise. This is upside down. That's part of the problem. That's why I don't like the spider web, because I can't keep nothing straight. That doesn't look right. There. And that is the importance of laying things out. Because when something doesn't look right to you, you can go ahead and lay it out, look at whatever the pattern is, and then fix it. Hey, Shamir. I'm mad that my teddy bear fell on the floor. Okay. There we go. So, again, these are the rows for the block. And their directions are, which works for me, is to press the seams out for these. It's 7 o'clock for you, right, Shamir? Because I'll be in my gym as usual listening. While you're making workout clothes, I'll be working out. Because God only knows I cannot afford to miss another Monday. I overslept last Monday. I took a nap. 7:15. Okay, no problem. I'll be just finished the warm up by then. Hi, Miss Karen. How are you doing, darling? And again, they tell you to press these to the dark, to the light, to the center, to the out. You could press this any way you like. So anyone who is just coming in, that after work crew, those of you that had to work today, we are making the Haven 2026 quilt, sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabrics. And this is the charity Quilt Along that sponsors, that supports, I don't sponsor, but it supports the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So they have a quilt along and they have a stitch along. The stitch along is cross stitch. We are making the same thing. So the blocks that I'm doing are going to be the same blocks for the stitch along, except you'll be stitching them instead of sewing them, cross stitching them instead of sewing them. So you'll be using thread, we're using fabric. You could buy the kit. This is the kit. If you choose not to, we're still encouraging people to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation through the Fat Quarter Shop Jolly Jabber blog. They have a link that allows you to not only donate to this wonderful cause, but if you give $75 or more, you get a limited edition bear and a child from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who is a part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, will also get a bear. I did a video, so you can see the bear in the video, because I knocked him off the other side of the table. And he's so cute. So I do donate every year to the Make-A-Wish. Number one, because I want my bear. Last year's bear was white and blue. I need to show y'all last year's bear. They are limited editions, so you might not get that bear in 2026, 2027. Okay, so here it is again, together so far. I really do like to get, like you can see here, you can really see like the point. Now if I just press this a little bit more, get rid of that fold, that point will really point a little bit more. But again, it's not the end of the world. So now let's put our rows together. So we're gonna do the top ones together, and then we'll add the bottoms, and then we'll be finished the blocks. I do like to use clips on this part. If I'm not mistaken, all the information was in the video that I posted earlier. I need to post on the other app. So I have two more that I need to, two more times that I need to post that video. That's one. So it's at a total of like 8 times, so 8 lines that we need to stitch, and then we will be done the block. And then, so we will have 3 of the 4 done, and then we just need to come up, I need to come up with another day to finish block 4 and to add the border and finish the quilt top. Oops. I thought I heard something. I got dust for days. I need to clean out this machine. My poor baby is like, girl, if you don't get in there and get the dust out. And again, I'm lifting up my presser foot because sometimes the seams that are going in this direction, the foot wants to push them back, and I don't want that. Row number 3. Clip. And I like to, if I can, nest and clip. That way I know that they should, and again the key word is should, line up. Sometimes my best efforts do not allow for the best game, but it will improve the result, improve the results rather than hinder them. Oh, that went right underneath there. Okay, I think we're going to have one more bobbin that we will need. That's what I'll be working on again tonight, putting the bobbins, making more bobbins because I need more bobbins. And we'll see if we can get at least this block done before the bobbin runs out. And it's gonna be tight. With a little engine it could said, I think I can. So the top ones are done, and we made it again with just a little bit of thread left. We would not have made that for anything. And let me see, where is, now that's not gonna make it. How I have this one here, I don't know. I'm gonna use my gray, and then I will make white for everything else. Even though I could use gray, I knew that was gonna fall on the floor. Now, the seams are not crossing, so since they're not crossing, Mary D, thank you for being number 44 in the fan club. Thank you for your Deli Heart Me. Because they're not crossing, I can sew the third row on, and then press them all at one time. So again, I am just getting those in there, and then we're stitching. So we have 4 rows and counting to go. And again, somebody asked the other night, you know, you could use your pointer. I could. Which would help to navigate everything. I didn't take these off, or did I? Yeah, I did. Okay. Let's cut that one off. Let's cut this one off. We have 3 more to add here. So again, lock your seams in. I line those up first. I always line the seams up because then it guarantees a better shot at accuracy than when I don't. Also, sometimes you stretch your fabric as you're sewing, so it kind of helps it to all stay in one area so that you don't throw the other lines off. Okay. We're down to 2. So again, anybody that just came in, we are finishing up part 1 for the Haven 2026 quilt and stitch along. I am not doing a stitch. The stitch requires handwork, it requires a needle, it's cross stitch. However, if cross stitch is your thing and you prefer to do that to quilting, you can check out my friends at the Fat Quarter Shop. They are sponsoring. Okay. see, I always say, right? There's always one that I'm gonna mess up. And I caught it. So I didn't do this end. I did the other end. There's always one side or one I get too anxious, I get too happy, and then I always do one. One has to be off. I can't never have a perfect session where I don't have to seam rip or pull threads out. We'll pull that one out in a second. So this end was supposed to be down here, and it wasn't. Okay, so we're gonna line these up again for this one. I'll pull that one out in a sec. That's because I'm mad and I'm getting ready to mess it up. So I said, let me put it down for a minute. So this will now be block number 3 that will be together. There are 4 of these blocks. There are 4 of the other one. They're just like half this size. Which is why they're by themselves. Okay, cool. Now, because it would be too much like right to get up and get a seam ripper, we're just going to take this out with a pin. And then I will go back in, flip this around, and we will finish this block up. This is like the only thing that pins are good for other than garments. Okay, cool. So we'll turn this around. Now, we'll make sure that I did this right this time because...
Here's the forecast for tomorrow in Collingdale.
Really?
For thunderstorms.
Alexa,
82 degrees Fahrenheit and a low
she ain't gonna
of
listen to me.
73
Every day at the same time she comes on. I don't know who set that because I don't remember setting it. Because I'm not always home at this time. And I'm not always down here. Usually I'm upstairs taking a nap. Okay. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We get that urn over here. And we have now finished the block. So this is what the block looks like for part number 1. So part number 1 required us, again, this is the finished pattern and block. This is part number 1. So this is the block that I just showed you. And then we also did these half square triangles because there's nothing to them but sewing 2 pieces of fabric together, cutting them in half diagonally after we put seams on each side of that line, and these are done. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3 are done. This is the only one that I need to work on, and that's possibly like Wednesday, I'm thinking. So this is a free pattern, again, from the Fat Quarter Shop. This is the Haven 2026 Charity Quilt Along. This is sponsored by the Fat Quarter Shop in partnership with Moda Fabrics. It is a free pattern, so you can download the pattern, both of the parts, or they should have the whole pattern by now, and then you can use your stash. So you absolutely do not have to use their fabric, but it would be nice. The Quilt Along, there is a kit for this, so all of these fabrics, the ones you see me using, are a part of the kit that you can purchase. You get the kit, which is the whole quilt top plus the binding. You would pick your own backing, and you would pick your own batting. So there's only 2 things that you would pick. This benefits Make-A-Wish Foundation, organization that grants wishes for critically ill children. So they are phenomenal wishes. Those wishes could be to meet somebody. You know, like if I want to meet Shamar Moore. I'm not a child anymore, but was I a child when he came along? Oh. Okay, I pressed that the wrong way. He's fine, so you know, or you know, they get passes to Disneyland, so they get to go to Disneyland and get treated very well. Like that's a favorite for the kids. So I've seen that. I've seen like they've had one on TikTok. I can't remember the voice coach. She just recently did one where she met a young lady who wanted to take singing lessons with her. It was so cute. So, you know, they grant these awesome life-changing wishes for children. And it is a great organization. So if I could not respect an organization more, respecting someone who supports children and children's organization will always get my vote. Okay. I will take time to like really press these. But I know what I better get off to do. So I will press the one, and then like I said, we'll finish up possibly on Wednesday. So I have these 1, 2, and 3 that I still need to press. I will press those probably tonight because they'll bother me if I don't. But this is, again, the finished block for part 1. These still need to be trimmed, but these are blocks 2 and 3 that are already done. They just need to be trimmed. And so, like, they're gonna fit like that. And then another one is gonna fit down here. So they're gonna fit in like that. And then there'll be block number 4 that I need to complete. So this is block number 4, and this is it's not complicated, right? Because we've already done this block. It's that they're just smaller. So it's gonna go on one half of this, if you will. So that's how small it's gonna be. And then the other half will go on this half, but you know. So not the same colors, but same concept. So that's what we'll be working on. So we have all of our, again, half square triangles done. They just need to be trimmed. We have all these blocks done. They just need to be pressed very well, and I don't want to rush it. And we have these already prepped. So they're already prepped and ready to go. And so all we need to do is make them. So thank you everybody for joining me today. Those of you that are still around for part 1 of the Haven 2026 Charity Quilt Along. We will work on part 2. I probably will do that Wednesday.